Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide. A reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that Major League Baseball began in 1869, but because of segregation, the first African-American player, Moses Fleetwood Walker, didn't play in the major leagues until 1884? Follow Rube Foster's Chicago American Giants, who drew more fans than the White Sox and Cubs combined. Learn why Rube Foster believed leadership and unity could help fight prejudice.
Okay, I want you to picture a scene for a moment. It's February 13th, 1920. We're in Kansas City. It's cold outside. I mean, it's the dead of winter.
Yeah.
But inside the YMCA, there's this meeting room, and things are heating up.
And who's in this room?
You've got a bunch of guys sitting around. These are the owners of the independent African-American baseball teams.
Right. And they're there to, talk shop.
Exactly. Swap some stories, probably complain a little bit about booking agents, the usual stuff. It's, a very informal kind of gathering.
Yeah, these meetings were usually just venting sessions. Lots of good intentions, maybe, but not a lot of action.
A room full of problems, basically. But then the door opens, and in walks Andrew Rube Foster.
And he is not just another owner.
Not at all. He's a commanding presence. And here's the thing that changes everything. He didn't just walk in with ideas.
No.
While everyone else is there to chat, Foster walks in with the charter document, already in his hand.
He wasn't there to discuss if they should do something.
He was there to tell them how they were going to do it.
And that's the spark. That moment at the YMCA is the ignition point for a revolution in baseball history.
We're talking about the birth of the Negro National League.
But it's more than that. It's the moment black baseball goes from being a hustle to being an institution.
So today, that's our deep dive. We're
right.
going into that history, but, not just dates and stats. We want to look at it through the lens of Rube Foster's genius.
Yeah.
Because the sources we're looking at, and that's historical news, archives, biographies, research, they paint a picture of a man who was a legitimate double threat.
I'd even say double threat is kind of underselling him.
Fair point. I mean, he was a superstar player, like one of the best on the planet.
And then he becomes this organizational mastermind who professionalized an entire sport basically by himself.
Right. And that's what makes this story so compelling, even if you're not a huge baseball fan. It's about seeing potential where other people just see chaos.
It's about understanding that talent alone isn't enough. You need structure. You need, as you said, a grand design.
Okay, so let's set the stage. To really get what Foster built in 1920, we have to understand what the world looked like before that. Baseball was already a big deal by then, right?
Oh, very established.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball was organized way back in 1869.
Wow, that early.
Yeah. So by 1920, the game's been around for over 50 years. It's a national pastime, but it's a very, very divided pastime.
We're talking Jim Crow era.
Precisely. You have all this racial prejudice, all these laws left over from the Civil War creating this wall. But what's interesting, and the sources really highlight this, is that it wasn't always a formal rule in the MLB rulebook.
Really? I always assumed it was written down somewhere, no black players.
Nope. It was more insidious. The sources call them unwritten agreements.
A gentleman's agreement.
That's the phrase. The team owners just sort of quietly agreed to shut black players out. The talent was there. Everyone knew it. But the opportunity was just systematically taken away.
And the sources even mentioned some of these lost stars, guys like Bud Fowler, Frank Grant. But one name really stood out to me, Moses Fleetwood Walker.
Fleet Walker. His story is, it's really the perfect example of the tragedy of that time.
So tell us about him, because he actually made it, didn't he, for a little while?
Briefly, yes. He is credited as the first African-American in the majors. Played for the Toledo Blue Stockings, 1884 season.
1884, that's way back.
It is. And get this, he wasn't just some kid they found. Walker was a star athlete at Oberlin College and the University of Michigan.
Wait, a university-educated star athlete playing Pro Bowl in 1884? That just shatters the stereotype.
Completely. He was educated, talented, the whole package. And even after he proved he could play at the highest level, that's when the door slammed shut.
Wow.
That's what was so devastating about those unwritten agreements. You had guys like Walker who proved they belonged, and the response from the establishment was just to make sure it never happened again.
So that's the landscape. Black players are locked out, they're forming their own teams, barnstorming across the country, but it's all kind of scattered and disorganized.
It was a total grind. You're playing a factory team one day, a semi-pro team the next. The pay is all over the place, travel is brutal, and there's no real championship to aim for.
And into this chaos steps Rube Foster. And, when I hear founder or executive, I picture a guy in a suit. That is not Rube Foster.
Not even close. Before he was the guy with the charter, he was a terror on the pitcher's mound for the Leland Giants. He was dominant.
I found this amazing review of him in the Indianapolis Freeman News from 1907. It's so vivid. Can I read it?
Please do.
Okay, it says, Foster has all the speed of a Amos Rusey, the tricks of a Hoss Radbourn, and the heady coolness and deliberation of a Cy Young.
Wow. That is about the highest praise you could get back then. Let's break that down.
Okay.
Amos Rusey was called the Hoosier Thunderbolt.
The Hoosier Thunderbolt. I love that.
That means he threw absolute gas, pure power.
Okay, so he's got the speed. What about Hoss Radbourn?
Radbourn was all about deception, changing speeds, weird arm angles, making you look foolish.
Yeah.
The crafty veteran type.
And then Cy Young, the guy the award is named for.
Exactly, the legend. And Cy Young was known for that eddy coolness. He was a chess master. He didn't just throw past you, he outthought you.
So this review is basically saying Foster was a combination of the three greatest pitchers of his time.
Pretty much. Imagine a pitcher today with the speed of a closer, the tricks of a junk baller, and the brain of, like, a Gugmatics. It's an impossible combination.
And the quote finishes by saying, what does that make of him? Why the greatest baseball pitcher in the country?
And here's the key part. The source says that's what the best ball players of white persuasion were saying too.
So it wasn't just hype.
Not at all. Game recognizes game. The white players knew he was the real deal, even if he couldn't prove it in the World Series.
So he's got the credibility of a superstar. But a lot of athletes retire and, I don't know, just fade away. Foster saw a bigger picture.
Right. And this is the pivot, from Foster the player to Foster the mastermind. In 1911, he makes this incredibly smart business move. He partners with a guy named John Shorling.
And Shorling had connections.
Big time. He was the son-in-law of Charles Comiskey, the owner of the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
And that partnership gave Foster access to a real stadium, Southside Park. That was huge. Most black teams had to rent fields whenever they were available.
So he gets his own home turf, and he forms the Chicago American Giants. And they weren't just another team.
No, he molded them. The sources talk about their style of play. It was fast, aggressive, smart. Some called it tricky baseball.
Like, what did that look like?
Bunting, stealing, hit and run, constant pressure. If you walked a guy, he was already thinking about how to get to third base. It was electric to watch.
Okay, but here's the stat that, it just blew my mind. I had to read it twice.
I think I know the one you mean. The attendance.
The attendance. In the 1921 season, Foster's Chicago American Giants drew bigger crowds in Chicago than the White Sox and the Cubs combined. It's staggering, isn't it? The Cubs are a religion in that city, and his team, an all-black team in a segregated country, is outdrawing them both.
The source says they drew nearly 200,000 spectators that season. It just proves his vision. He built something so excellent that people couldn't ignore it.
So he's proven the concept. He's the king of Chicago baseball. But he's still not satisfied. Which brings us back to that YMCA meeting. Why wasn't that enough for him?
Because Foster knew that one great team was fragile. As long as black baseball was just a bunch of independent teams fighting for scraps, they'd never have real power. They were still at the mercy of white booking agents and stadium owners.
He had that incredible quote from the meeting. It sums it all up. He said, "The wild, reckless scramble under the guise of baseball is keeping us down."
And we will always be the underdog until we can successfully employ the methods that have brought success to the great powers that be.
Organization.
Organization, that's the word.
That's everything. He looked at the major leagues, and he didn't just see the racism. He saw a business model. Schedules, contracts, pennant races, stability. He knew that wild, reckless scramble was holding them all back. It's so insightful. He's saying, look, we have the talent, we have the fans, we're failing on logistics.
Exactly. Legitimacy comes from structure. Without a league, you're just a traveling show. He wanted to build an institution.
And he did it. The Negro National League was born that day, and for a decade, it thrived. It became this huge cultural touchstone in Black America.
It was more than just a game. It was a community event. People would get dressed up to go. It was the place to be seen.
But then, outside forces came into play.
The Great Depression. It was an extinction-level event for so many businesses. And the Negro Leagues were especially vulnerable. They didn't have the deep cash reserves of the major league teams.
And it all just collapsed.
Pretty much every team folded. The first version of Foster's grand design came to an end.
That's heartbreaking. To build all that and watch it fall apart, but the idea didn't die.
No, it didn't. That's the key. In 1937, the league came back as the Negro American League, and it was full of players and managers who grew up in Foster's system. His DNA was still in it.
And this second league is the one that leads us to 1947.
It is. The integration of baseball. Jackie Robinson, Brooklyn Dodgers. It's one of the most iconic moments in sports history.
But what often gets glossed over is where Jackie Robinson came from. He wasn't just discovered on a playground.
No, not at all. He was a star professional player for the Kansas City Monarchs.
A team in the Negro Leagues.
The crown jewel of the Negro Leagues. A legendary franchise within the very ecosystem that Rube Foster built.
So without that league to develop talent like Robinson, to give him a place to shine, who knows what happens?
Integration might have taken much longer. Or looked very different. Foster built the stage that allowed Robinson to become the star that broke the barrier.
It's this direct lineage. What happened to Foster himself, though? Did he get to see it?
Sadly, no. His end is really tragic. He kept managing the American Giants. He was president of the league, but the stress was just immense.
I can't even imagine.
He was holding the whole thing together almost by himself. The travel, the money, the disputes, the weight of it all. He had a breakdown.
Oh, man.
He retired in 1926 because of his mental health, and he passed away in 1930.
So 17 years before Jackie Robinson took the field for the Dodgers.
Yes, he never saw the wall come down.
He did get his recognition eventually, though.
He did. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1981. It took a long time, but they finally recognized him not just as a great player, but as a true pioneer of the game.
You know, there's another layer to this in our source material. It's not just about baseball. There's a strong ethical component.
Absolutely. The documents are very direct. They state that segregation in sports or anywhere is wrong, but they frame Foster as a leader who actively worked to solve the problem, not just a victim of it.
Right. There's a specific quote in our notes that the source uses to drive this point home. It's from President Russell M. Nelson in 2020. It says, "Lead out in abandoning attitudes and actions of prejudice. I plead with you to promote respect for all of God's children."
And that fits Foster's life perfectly. He led out. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for attitudes to change on their own. He forced the issue by building something so excellent, it demanded respect.
So the lesson, as the source frames it, is about bridging divides through shared excellence and mutual respect.
Yes. He used the game of baseball as his vehicle for that. He abandoned that wild scramble, and he replaced it with dignity and organization.
It really reframes the whole story. It's a lesson in leadership.
And it all comes back to that central idea, the wild, reckless scramble versus organization. Foster's genius was knowing that talent is never enough.
So, to recap our deep dive, we started with Rube Foster, the pitcher, a guy with the speed of Ruzi and the mind of Cy Young.
Then we saw Rube Foster, the executive, building a team that outdrew 2 major league franchises.
We saw him walk into a room with a piece of paper and walk out as the founder of a league.
A league that weathered the Depression and ultimately became the incubator for Jackie Robinson and the integration of the sport. It's a massive, massive legacy.
But I want to leave everyone with this final thought. It goes back to that phrase. The wild, reckless scramble. I just can't get it out of my head.
It sticks with you, doesn't it?
Foster proved that you can have all the talent in the world, but without organization, it just dissipates. It's wasted energy.
Yeah.
So here's the question for you to think about. What area of your life, your job, your industry, a creative project is currently a wild, reckless scramble?
Where do you have the passion and the talent, but you're missing the structure?
Are you just showing up to the meetings to complain about how things are?
Or are you ready to be the person who walks in with the charter?
What would happen if you stopped waiting for an invitation and decided to organize it yourself?
Be the Rube Foster. Don't just play the game, build the league.
Thank you for joining us for this day in his story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in his story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.